I do love life's ironies. So we have a man who is an expert in social media, followed by a man who couldn't get his PowerPoint to work in the workshop. I didn't. I ruined that as well. I want to say, first of all, that this, to me, has been quite a remarkable day. In each room that we've had a workshop, in each sort of area where people have been talking, what is coming across to me now is an increasing passion, is an increasing commitment, is an increasing awareness and overall energy that I have not seen for a long time in all my years I was working in UNISON. Something has changed and something has happened in the North West, where I'm seeing people now who have a much clearer, a much better, a much stronger commitment to building union power rather than just trying to survive. And it's not just because of the general election. I also think there's a sense of hope now about we understand what we've got to do. It's not going to be easy to do it, but we have a clearer idea of what our task is, and that we've got the passion and we've got the resources and, crucially, we've got the politics to do it. And all the things I've learned all over the world working with different unions now, there's one constant. Unions without the politics will not grow. Unions without the politics will not change things. What we need is a union that wants to change things and a union with the politics of change. And I really sense that today amongst all of you and all the contributions and things that I've heard you say. It's remarkable and it means that something is different. I have talked in my workshops about context, and I think that the context of the global economy is something that we at Uni Global can't impress upon people enough, because there are weights and there are changes and there are causes out in the global economy that any government is going to find it difficult to fight. That these are forces that are so strong and so overwhelming, they are crushing and splintering economies and societies all over the world. And we in the UK are in a better position than many in the sense that we still have resources, we still have membership, and we still have a base. But nevertheless, the politics of austerity are not confined to the UK. The politics of globalisation are not confined to the UK, and the politics of privatisation are certainly not confined to the UK. When we look at the TTIP regulations, which I know UNISON is now beginning to campaign on, that is devastating dynamite for economies all over the world. And as a result of that, it is dynamite for people's lives all over the world. The fact that a company could take a government to court for refusing to outsource its public services easier than I could take a government to court for war crimes is utterly despicable. But that is the reality of the way things are out in the global economy. And UNI, working with its affiliates, wants to emphasise to those affiliated unions, as UNISON is, that organising is the basis of everything we need to do. That we cannot build power without those organising techniques that Lisa and Scott have described so vividly for us. Those same techniques that you have described so vividly in every workshop you've been in. You don't need to be told. You understand. You're clear. Our density is too low. It's got to be higher. We can't just do recruitment drives. We've got to build networks and find new activists so that our power is real, and that any worker walking into their first job in a building at the age of 16, 17, 18, 21, however old they are, can feel, see and taste the power of the union when they're in that workplace. We have got the opportunity to rebuild that while we've still got the resources. And I am absolutely overwhelmed with how committed to that you have all seemed in all of the workshops that I have been lucky to be part of today. There are things about the world economy that I just want to pass on to you to give you that sense of how different things are going to be in the future. 40% of the world's workers do not work in a so-called professional or recognised job. It's unofficial. Disorganised. The people we were told that we can't organise into unions. Only 10% of the world workers belong to a trade union. Global companies are now looking at what they call, what they term in their internal documents, mega trends, so that they can redevelop and change and shape their own economic plans. They no longer look at national economies. They're not interested in the UK economy, or the Greek economy, or the Syrian economy, or the South African economy, or the Chilean economy. The top 37 economies in the world are now centred around the top 37 major cities of the world. So, in terms of how they're going to look for work and how they're going to operate, they're not going to be operating nationally. They'll be going after the bigger cities and operating inside them first. They will become the hubs of their economic activity. Europe is going to shrink and disappear out of the global economy, which is going to be terrible news for trade unions inside the European economy unless we make a stand against austerity. Of the top 10 ports in Europe in terms of tonnage, volume and activity, only one in the entire world is in Europe, and that's Rotterdam. In terms of world trade, what does that tell us? It tells us that the trade is moving away from where we think it always was, where it always would be, between the United States and the European economies, with a little bit of turnaround around Africa and China and Southeast Asia. The BRIC economies, Brazil, Russia, India and China, are eating up more and more of the economy. And what that means for us is that our governments have less and less ability to affect the circumstances in which we are trying to organise. So the challenges we face in Africa, in Latin America, and the United States, and everywhere else in the world are exactly the same as they are in the UK, which is why our message is a constant one about organise, organise, organise. And I hope today that you go away from this fantastic event with a sense of mission, with a sense of change, with a sense of going on forward from today into achieving the growth of a powerful union that people can sense and taste and feel. And lastly, a growing union you can be really, really proud of. The pride left, not because we lost our pride, but because it was taken from us. Defeats took the pride away. But I really, genuinely feel the pride is coming back. And that is something I have really felt today. So please, lift yourselves up. Feel stronger today for what you've done today. Bring back that pride. Go out, organise, recruit, build, get the power, defeat austerity, and let's have a trade union movement that started 147 years ago in this building, celebrating 150 years, coming back onto the world stage as a major source of social change, progression, and a campaign for equality and getting people out of poverty. And thank you very, very much for letting me be part of that today.